Hey everybody, I just went live on my second channel to make sure that everything is lined up properly here and with the front-facing camera. I haven't done one of these lectures in a long time. Everybody that watches this channel, there has for years, knows that I do whiteboard lectures, and I haven't done one in a very long time, but I'm going to do one again because there's so many new people that have come to the channel, probably 400,000 since the last one I did, something like that, maybe 300,000 at least. So these are basic elements of music theory that everyone should know. These are things, when you hear things like 1-4-5 progressions or major chord, minor chord, suspended chord, things like that. I'm going to explain these things. I'm going to try and do it in 30 minutes. It's going to be a 30-minute lecture. I'm going to begin right now, right into this here. I'm not going to take questions right now. But I'm going to begin with the circle of fifths. This is what this is here. This is the circle of fifths. And what this does is it tells you how many sharps and flats are in each key. Now, if you have a key signature, okay, like this, let's say you've got a staff here. Staves have 5 lines, okay? And let's say it's a G clef here. Treble clef, we call this, okay? And let's say you have something like this right here. You have one flat like that, okay? That's supposed to be on this middle line here. I didn't do it very clearly. But that line is B flat there. That note is B, okay? But the thing to know is that that's one flat, okay? So if you look on this chart here and you say one flat, well, you're in the key of F. Or you're in its relative minor. We'll talk about that in a little bit. But your first flat is B flat. So the way this chart works is, this is the sharp side where the sharps are, and this is the flat side. These are the flat keys, these are the sharp keys, okay? Sharps and flats always come in the same order. Okay, so this is your sharps go F sharp, C sharp, G sharp, D sharp, A sharp, E sharp, B sharp. They always happen that way. If a key has 2 sharps, it's always going to be F sharp and C sharp. Well, that happens to be the key of D. If a key has 3 flats, you're going to be in the key of E flat major, okay? And the 3 flats are going to be B flat, E flat, A flat. So in your key signature, it's going to have those. Or you don't even have to read music to understand music theory. That's good to be able to read music. You should be able to read the basic notes in treble and bass clef, but you don't need to know that. Reading is not necessary to understanding basic music theory, okay? So I don't want you to think, oh, Rick's going to teach us how to read and everything. No. But memorizing this chart, one interesting thing you'll see about this, if you look at this, F, C, G, D, A, E, B, B, E, A, D, C, G, C, F. This is backwards, okay? So if you go start an F and F, C and C, G and G, the order of sharps and the order of flats are exactly opposite, right? B, E, A, D, G, C, F. B, E, A, D, G, C, F. Okay, so it actually makes it easy. If you memorize it one way, you can memorize it the other way. The other thing is you have to memorize the chart like this. But going around the chart always, either way, moves in fifths, okay? So it's C, G, D, A, E, B, F sharp. Same thing as here, right? C, G, D, A, E, B. Once you get used to counting in fifth intervals, it becomes easy. You just do it, all right? D flat, A flat, E flat, B flat, F, C. You know, you just start to think that way. Or C, F, B flat, E flat, A flat, D. You start to see these little patterns. B, E, A, D, right? B flat, E flat, A flat, D flat. Okay? B, E, A, D. Bead. If you remember that, you've got like, you pretty much have almost the whole thing memorized, right? So down here I have F sharp and G sharp. So F sharp major and G flat, I'm sorry, F sharp and G flat. F sharp major and G flat major are the same. They have the same number of sharps and flats. They have 6 sharps or 6 flats. That's my transition point, okay? That's a tritone away from, or an augmented fourth or diminished fifth away from the key of C, okay? That's on the opposite side of the wheel. So this chart you need to memorize. Now, in my Beato book, the very first thing that I go over are keys. Okay, and by the way, I have a discount on the Beato book like I always do on my live streams. RB216 is the live stream. It's 20% off anything in my store. Okay, any mugs? I've got mugs that have formulas of scales on them. I have mugs that have formulas of triads on there. We're going to talk about those next. But in my book, I begin because in order to understand music theory, you have to understand keys, period. Okay, that has to be memorized. There's no shortcut to that. As a matter of fact, everything I tell you today, you have to memorize. Okay, but how do you memorize it? You memorize it by looking at it over and over and reciting these things. And you figure out little tricks here. But if you can say C, G, D, A, E, B, F sharp, right? Then you go D flat, A flat, E flat, B flat, F, C. And you just get used to it. You think, oh man, that's going to be too hard. No, you can totally get used to it. Okay, so key centers. If somebody says, what key, how many sharps or flats are in the key of B, you know your chart, you write it out, you say there are 5 sharps. What sharps are they? F sharp, C sharp, G sharp, D sharp, A sharp. Those are your 5 sharps. You count 5. If you say key of B flat, how many flats are there? Well, there's 2 flats. B flat, E flat. Okay? Okay, so that's the first basic thing that you need to know with music theory. You have to know that, okay? Once you know that, then you know about chord progressions. Why are chord progressions important to know? Because you hear people talk about them all the time. You hear 1-4-5, right? Blues. Or you hear 1-4-5-6, which is every song that's on the radio pretty much. So chord progressions. Well, the first thing we're going to do is talk about major keys. So the circle of fifths I only did with major here. Every major key, once you know them, has a minor, relative minor key, okay? And they work in fifths as well. So before I get to chord progressions, let me just quickly do this. So C major and A minor are the same. They have 0 sharps and flats, okay? 0. G major and E minor are the same. So I put lowercase letters mean minor. This has 1 sharp, 1 sharp. And then if you go by your order of sharps, this sharp is F sharp. So I'm actually going through and showing you how to do this, right? Then you go to D major. And the way it works is if you go down a minor third, well, you're going to be like, well, what is a minor third? Well, we'll get to minor thirds here. D major and B minor are the same key, okay? They have the same key signature, 2 sharps, which are F sharp and C sharp, okay? The next key is A and F sharp minor. They have 3 sharps. The next key is E and C sharp minor. They have 4 sharps. Okay, and you'll know if you memorize your thing, F sharp, C sharp, whoops, F sharp, hold on, I got my eraser, C sharp, G sharp, those are my 3, okay? The last sharp here is always going to be a half step below the tonic, okay? Same thing here, F sharp, C sharp. You already know what I'm going to do here, G sharp, and then what's a half step below this? D sharp, okay? But you start to see patterns here. B, E, A. You see that there? You always look for those things. You see E, A, D. Well, what's going to come next? B, right? B major. Relative minor is G sharp minor. And that's going to have 5 sharps. And once again, if you know these 4, you just put those there, and then you put the one that's a half step below that. So F sharp, all the same ones plus A sharp, okay? So both G sharp minor and B major have A sharp in them. Okay? So these are what they call your relative minors. Flats work the same way. If you know your the flat side, okay, so B flat and G minor, then you've got E flat, C minor. What am I going to do here? Remember, B, E, A, D? You know the drill, right? A flat, D flat, okay? A flat is going to be F minor. D flat is going to be B flat minor. Okay, those are, and then G flat. Okay, well, if you say G, well, you're going to say E flat. Okay, you see this E, B, E. Now, if you were to do, you know, more flats, get into some weird enharmonics, you'd say B flat, E flat, and then so on and so forth. So these are your relative minors here. Look for patterns, though. That's really the key for these things. All right, let's talk about chord progressions. All chord progressions in keys have a particular order. Your one chord, we're going to say major keys first. Major. Your one chord is always major, okay? You write major chords with a uppercase Roman numeral, okay? Your two chord is always going to be minor. You write minor chords with lowercase Roman numerals. That's what a lowercase Roman numeral looks like. Your three chord is minor. Your four chord is major. Your five chord is major. Six chord is minor. And your seven chord is diminished. That little circle means diminished. That's not a six. It should be a circle. That. There we go. Okay, so this is always your pattern of chords in a major key. Now, you'll notice 1, 4, 5 are major. So if you're doing a blues, you've got 1, C, okay, 4, 5, 1. Okay, those are the chords that are in a blues. Now, if you're playing a jazz blues, you might have more chords than that. But if you're playing a rock blues, you know, they may all be seventh chords. We'll get into that after. Your 2, 3, and 6 chords are minor chords, okay? So you have to, I like to memorize them in groups. So I say major, 1, 4, 5. Minor chords in a key, in your major key, are 2, 3, and 6. And then there's a diminished chord, which is your 7th chord. Talk about the use of that, okay? These are major keys. This is important. Minor keys are not necessarily as important, but if you took the relative minor, which really starts on the 6th degree, and you make that a 1, and you do the same pattern, it comes out in the same way. Okay, so that'd be the 1 chord. So your minor 1 would be like this. 1, then 2 chord would be diminished. So this is your minor key. This would be major. This would be minor, right? Minor 4, minor 5, major 6, 6, and this would be a major with this 7, like that. So this is your relative minor key there. Okay, so you got major keys and relative minor keys. I'm going to do this. Major, minor. Once you have the major key memorized, the minor key just starts over right here. I see some there. Thanks, Rick, for doing theory basic videos. There you go. Awesome. I appreciate that. And you guys are welcome to use, what's that called? Chat. Donate to the chat like that. I forget what it's called. Super chat. That's what it's called. Okay. So these are major and minor keys. Those are the degrees, the scale degrees that we have in them. So anytime somebody says, "Oh, it's a 4-1-6-5 in a key," well, if you know the notes in a scale, and then you know the scale order, then you just plug them in. Okay, so let's just do that. Let's say that we have the key of C major. Okay, and let's say our chord progression, or let's just fill it in first. Okay, we'll follow the pattern. 1 chord is major, so that's C. 2 chord is minor, so that's D minor. 3 chords minor, E minor. 4 chords F major. 5 chord is G major. 6 chord is A minor, and the 7 chord is B diminished. Well, how did I know that? Because I know all the notes in a C major scale because I've already memorized the circle of fifths. Okay? So you just plug it in with any key. Let's say I'm in the key of B flat major, okay? I've memorized in my circle of fifths, there are two flats in the key of B flat major, B flat and E flat, okay? So when I go writing my letter names down, I'm going to write the letter names down first, B flat, C, D, E flat, right? F, G, A. Then you go in, you fill in whether major, minor. This 2 is minor, 3 is minor, major, major, minor, diminished. There you go, done. Okay? And it would work like this. You could say, if you want to see it like this, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, diminished. This is called Roman numeral analysis. It's also the Nashville numbering system. If you say, let's say, hey guys, we're going to play, I'm on a session in Nashville, and I'm in a demo studio. And a guy comes in, and I'm the session leader, and they start playing the track, and I'm listening, and I go, okay, that's the 4 chord, that's the 1 chord, that's the 6 chord, that's the 5 chord. Okay, and we're in the key of B flat major, all right? So I'm the leader, so I write out a lead sheet, and I say 4 chord, so we're in B flat major. Whoops. B flat major, go like that. And I go 4 chord, which is going to be E flat. 1 chord is B flat. The 6 chord is G minor. And the 5 chord is F major. So, Nashville guys are not going to write this down. They're just going to go 4, 1, 6, 5. You can do that very easily. 4, 1, 6, 5. You don't have to use the Roman numerals. That's the Nashville numbering system right there. That easy. Same thing. Okay. What's good about this is that if they want to change the key, in Nashville, no, people when they make their demos, they already know what it's going to sound like. But a lot of times you'll be on a gig and the singer might say, you know what, my voice is killing me. Can we do it down a half step? Oh yeah, of course. Or can we do it down a whole step? Well, once you know what the keys are and you know what the Roman numerals are here, the numbering system, you can just transpose. You just know, if you're in the key of C and you say, well, what is 4, 1, 6, 5 in the key of C, right? Well, F is the 4 chord, C is the 1 chord, A minor is the 6 chord, G major is the 5 chord, okay? So once again, this is just memorizing. So these are major and minor keys. Very important. Okay, now, so in order to know this, though, you have to have your circle of fifths memorized, okay? Because none of this works if you don't know what notes are in each key. Okay, you can't figure out, you can't do the Nashville numbering system, nothing. That's basic information. All this information is built upon itself. Now, let's talk about building basic chords. We start with triads, which are 3-note chords. Triads. Okay? If you take a scale, a C major scale, so I have a piano right here. That's a C major scale. Thank you very much. I see that, Mike. Appreciate that. So, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. If I take the first note, third note, and fifth note of the scale, okay, 1, 3, 5. When you hear people say 1, 3, 5, that's pretty much what they mean. They mean that you're basically skipping a note. 1 chord, okay? That's a C major chord. But they have particular, we always will talk about the numbering based on a major chord. This is the way that it's easy to memorize. So C major equals the note C, E, G. That tells you that those notes are in a C major chord. Thank you, Mark. Appreciate it. So C, E, G make up a C major chord. It doesn't matter what order they're played in. They can be played as single notes. If I play them as single notes or as a chord, it's C major. That collection of notes is C major, okay? And so we go, this is the way I do it. 1, 3, 5. Now, if I were to spell a C minor chord, remember minus equals minor. Well, with a minor chord, you flat the third. You flat that middle note. So it's going to be C, E flat, G. Okay? So here's your C major, C, E, G. That he's going to move down to E flat. That is C minor. Okay? 1 flat 3 5. Okay? The other two chord types are your C diminished, which is 1. Let me write this down actually. 1 flat 3 5. And then you have C diminished, which is C, E flat, G flat. Okay, well what is that? That's 1 flat 3 flat 5. I took my C major chord, I lowered the third and I lowered the fifth down a half step. And that's a C diminished chord. And once again, doesn't matter what inversion it's in, any order of those notes is a C diminished chord, okay? And then the fourth one is C augmented. The plus equals augmented, the circle equals diminished. And that's going to be C, E, G sharp. 1, 3, sharp 5, okay? These formulas I have a mug for. In my store, which is 20% off, everything in my store is 20% off today. And the code is RB216, today's date, okay? But I have mugs in there that have all the triad formulas, all the formulas of the major scale, the melodic minor scale, the harmonic minor scale, the harmonic major scale, and the double harmonic major scale. So all their modes and all the formulas of all their modes. So when you're drinking your coffee in the morning and you look at your mug, you say, oh, boy, I know what an augmented chord is, or I know what a suspended chord. We're going to get to those in a second. These are your basic 4 chord types that you find in major, minor keys, particular minor keys. Augmented chords you find in melodic minor and harmonic minor. You don't find it in the major. You don't find it in natural minor, and you don't find it in the major scale or in major keys, okay? So your other types of chords are your suspended chords. You guys have heard, you've seen sus. You ever see something that goes like this? C sus 4? That sus stands for suspended. It doesn't mean sustained. A lot of people think it means sustained. I see those, the chat, super chats. Thank you guys for that. Really appreciate that. So C sus 4 means that the third is suspended. So the third, the middle note of the chord, the E becomes suspended. That's why you hear, I just had a suspended and I resolved it. So C major, right? So a lot of times you hear that in the middle of a song or at the end of a song. Or you could hear, oh, we'll talk about that in a second. A C sus 4 is C, F, G, or 1, 4, 5. Now, don't get confused. It's not a 1, 4, 5 progression. It's the first note of the scale, the fourth note of the scale, and the fifth note of the scale. 1, 4, 5. Okay? And if you have a sus 2, C sus 2, these are all common things. It's going to be C, D, G, or 1, 2, 5. That's a suspended 2. So if you take a C major chord and you move it down, thank you for that donation there. Appreciate that. I'm sorry I can't read those. I have my phone I'm using here. So a C sus 2 is C, D. I'll go look at them after. C, D, G is a C sus 2. And these things work really nice, you know. You hear it a lot in, you know, you hear it all over the place. Sus 2 chords are really common. They sound really cool when you put a different note in the bass. Okay, so that's a C sus 2. Well, then you have chords that people like me use, like a C Lydian chord. C Lydian, L-Y-D. Lydian comes from the Lydian mode. We're not to that. You don't necessarily need to know that right now. That equals C, F sharp, G. This is 1 sharp 4, 5. Okay? C Lydian triad. That would be this. Now C Lydian triad is a great sound. you think of it as like a suspended sharp 4. So I went sharp 4 to the 3rd, down to that sus2. These are really, really great because, oh yeah, that's heavy. That's some heaviness. A lot of times, like, you'll see dream sequences. Like, I was watching Toy Story yesterday, which I love. Toy Story 3, which is one of the best Pixar movies. And there's this dream sequence that happens, and it's, I have to think about this here. It starts on B flat. It's not a dream sequence, but it's kind of a dream sequence. It goes from B flat 7 to G major to... It goes from G major to a D connect, reconnect. Okay, we back? Are we back? Yeah, we're back. Sorry about that. My internet's been weird today. Buffering. Okay, we're back. We're good. So, I'm going to do it again. B flat, 7, G major, D flat, Lydian. Those Lydian chords are really cool. They can be used a lot of different ways. You know, you can go like a... I'll do it up here. Right? Or you'll hear something like... Anybody that watched HBO about 15 years ago, 6 Feet Under, the first chord is E flat Lydian. It's the E flat Lydian triad. So 1 sharp 4 5, E flat A B flat. Okay, E flat major would be E flat Lydian. Whoops. Has a great sound to it. It's used in film scoring all the time, and a lot of times that Lydian, that sharp 4, will resolve down to the 3rd. Okay, so that's a Lydian triad. They're incredibly cool. Those right there, those triads are very important to know. There's other ones, but those particular ones, so there's one more. There's a C Phrygian triad, which equals C, D flat, and G. 1, flat 2, 5. This has that flat 2. This is where a lot of your metal comes from. A lot of metal music that's based, that people have written over the last, 30 years or so. We use those flat 2 kind of sounds. But, they'd be... so it'd be... Metallica uses a lot of flat 2 to open. Every metal band, that's not Metallica. Like, millions of bands, that flat 2 is really pulls you down to the tonic, okay? 1, flat 2, 5. That's called a Phrygian triad. Lydian pulls you up to the 5th. Phrygian pulls you down, so pulls you down to the tonic. Lydian pulls you up to the 5th. All right? So that's your other triad you have to know. So the ones you got to know are, and you just rewind this, or get the Beato book. It's got all of them. Then you can just open it up and research it. RB 216, 20% off anything in my store. But here's the ones you have to know: major, minor, diminished, augmented, sus2, sus4, Lydian, and Phrygian triads. Okay, have those memorized. The formulas with them: major 1 3 5, minor 1 flat 3 5, diminished 1 flat 3 flat 5, augmented 1 3 sharp 5. I like to group them this way though. I like to put major and augmented together and minor and diminished. I'll tell you why. Thank you, Eduardo, very much. Major and augmented are easy to memorize because from major you just move up the 5th up a half step. You augment it, okay? When people talk about augmented, they're talking about the sharp 5, okay? Major, augmented. So this 1 3 sharp 5. And then when you go for minor, to diminished, you flat the fifth. Diminished, to diminish something, it contracts. That's how you remember it. So you flat the fifth. Augment, you raise it. You make it larger. So that fifth moves up a half step. Okay? So those are the triads, those formulas you really need to know. Okay? These are really the basics of music theory. Key centers, the basic triads that go in a key and how they're constructed, chord progressions, okay, 1 4 5, 4 1 5 6. So the formulas are those. You don't need to know modes, nothing like that. And then seventh chords would be the next thing to know, but you don't necessarily need to know seventh chords. There's one seventh chord you need to know is your basic straight dominant seventh chord. Okay, that in the key of C, the dominant seventh falls on the 5 chord. These terms dominant or tonic that you've heard, these relate to scale degrees, okay? And they always go in a particular order. This is the last thing I'm going to cover here, okay? So let me fix that. These are what you call the scale degree names. Scale degree names. I'm wearing my glasses right now, and it's really weird looking through them because I don't wear them that often. And it's very weird. Okay, your scale degree names. Your 1 chord is the tonic. So when you hear the tonic, they're talking about the 1 chord. Your 2 chord, see these things all work together, is the supertonic. I'll separate the words here so it's easier to memorize here. Supertonic. Your 3 chord is your mediant. I-E-N-T, right? Mediant. Is that right? Yeah. Your 4 chord is your subdominant. It's weird to write if you don't. I don't write very often. How many of you guys write very often? Thank you, George. Appreciate that. Anybody that I've missed here on the super chat, I'll go back and look here. Your 5 chord is your dominant. See, I'm using those Roman numerals. Dominant. Your 6 chord is your submediant. And your 7 chord here with the diminished is your leading tone, because it's leading you back to the tonic, okay? Leading tone to the tonic, okay? So when somebody mentions the dominant, oh, it's the dominant of the key. That means it's the 5 chord. If they say it's the supertonic, it's the 2 chord. The subdominant, it's the 4 chord. But the common ones that you hear are tonic, subdominant, and dominant. Those are the common ones that you really should know the names of. The other ones are not that important. That's only when you start getting into a little bit more advanced theory that you want to understand those things. But as you can see, these all relate, these Roman numerals. All you need to do is have that circle of fifths, and you can plug these things in. So if I'm in the key of D, and I know all the notes of D, D has 2 sharps, F sharp and C sharp, I just write them here. D major, E minor, right? Because that's minor. F sharp major, or I'm sorry, F sharp minor. G major, A major, B minor, C sharp diminished, okay? How do I know that? Because I just look at my Roman numerals. Diminished, minor, major, major, minor, minor, major, right? And I know the notes in D major. D, E, F sharp, C, right? F sharp and C sharp are sharped. D, E, F sharp, G, A, B, C sharp. So D major, E minor, F sharp minor, G major, A minor, I'm sorry, A major, B minor, C sharp diminished. It's easy for you to say. Oh, who was that? 49. Oh, man. Deb, you're the best. You're the best. Michael, awesome. Appreciate that so much. Okay, so these are the basics of music theory to know. with that dominant chord, this is the very last thing I'm going to cover, the dominant. When you hear the term dominant 7, they're just talking about a set, like in the key of C, the 5 chord. So it's 5, 7, you do that, right? 5, 7, that's your 5 chord, your dominant chord. Dominant 7. Or like this, 5, 7. In the key of C, it would be G7, okay? And it would have the notes G, B, D, F. That F is your 7th. 1, 3, 5, and it's a flat 7 because the interval from here to here is called a minor 7. You don't necessarily need to know that right now. That's where you start to get into more advanced things. So, but that would be a G7 chord. 1, 3, 5, right? Major chord, and then you put a flat 7 on it. If I had a major 7, it would be that. Okay, and all the 7th chords are derived from that, really. Dominant 7, major 7, minor 7, minor major 7, minor 7, and so on. You know, major 7, you could have major 7 sharp 5, so on and so forth. That's very, very advanced. That's it. Those are the basics of music theory that everyone should know. The circle of fifths, which gives you what notes are in every key, okay? The what chords are in every major minor key. 1, 4, 5 are major in a major key. 1, 4, 5 are major, 2, 3, and 6 are minor, 7 is diminished. Don't worry about minor keys even now. What the formulas of triads are: major triad 1, 3, 5, minor triad 1, flat 3, 5, diminished triad 1, flat 3, flat 5, augmented triad 1, 3, short 5. And then you have your suspended 4, suspended 2, Lydian, and Phrygian. Okay, and then the last thing are your scale degree names: tonic, supertonic, mediant, subdominant, dominant, submediant, leading tone. Out of those, you should know the tonic, the subdominant, and dominant, and that's it. So that's pretty much all the basics of music theory covered in 37 minutes. But if you really want to learn them and be able to look at them, get the Beato book. It's incredibly helpful. Anybody that follows my channel for things like music theory, film scoring, anything like that. And by the way, a lot of people don't know, because I've done a lot of the things, what makes this song great, things like that. But my channel is really a music theory, music history channel, and music production, okay, music production songwriting. But the basis of my channel, I have 613 videos, including this one. And I'd say, a lot of them are music theory based, things like that. You can always go back and watch early ones, but I decided to, because people don't like to go back and watch old videos. And frankly, my video production has gotten better from having a nicer camera. But it's good to go back and watch these things. But I wanted to put together a simple video here that anyone can watch. Thank you very much, Urban Fella. Appreciate that. I wanted to put together a video, just a simple video everybody can watch and say, okay, I understand the basics of music theory here. Okay, this is stuff that everyone should know. You guys are the best. Subscribe here if you haven't subscribed. Go check out my funny video where I was talking about the new Ariana Grande song. Don't be offended. I was basically it was a comedy video based on the fact that the hi-hat is too loud in the track compared to the rest of the songs on the same album. Okay, so, and everybody, the comment section is hilarious, but I'm not condemning. I love pop music. I know all my friends that are jazzers or classical musicians think it's weird, but I'm a music producer and I've been doing it for 25 years. I appreciate simple songs and I appreciate really creative production, because it's not easy to do that stuff, even with the 10 writers and everything that are on there. And I was making fun of that there's 10 writers and 3 producers on all these songs. But there is an art to that. Even if you think that the music is dreck, I try to find the positive things in there to learn from. I'm not on here to bash styles of music or anything. I'm here to teach you what you're hearing. Always know what you're hearing. Urban Fella, thanks. Awesome. You guys are the best. We'll talk later. Thank you. Check out my Instagram, Rick Beato1. I put stuff up there all the time. I don't have that many Instagram subscribers, but I do put some cool stuff up.